Hey, Roofer Nation. We're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Chris Hunter, and I am the CEO, CMO, actually Chief Marketing Officer of Roofing Sites. So today's webinar is going to be, I think, pretty epic. I think that this is going to give you your plan for 2021, at least your marketing plan, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it. All right. Let me see. Let me get this started. All right. So if you know me, I love memes. I love memes in all my webinars. I think they're funny. So this one here is from Tommy Boy, right? And he says, I've got a plan. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what we're going to build today. We are going to build your internet marketing blueprint um, for the next year, right? So we're going to set your goals for 2021. We're going to go over the three fundamentals of successful marketing, right? We are going to go over the latest trends and really what to look for in 2021 and really give it down to a, small amount of things that you can work on. Okay. And we're going to develop that plan and give you those top three things, because three things, this is one of my favorite things. So one of my business coaches gives to me. He says, okay, what's your top three things, Chris? So, and those are the three things that we're going to focus on. All right. All right. So who am I? If you haven't followed me at all, my name is Chris Hunter, and I'm the Chief Marketing Hero of Marketing Heroes, right? Which is our parent company of roofing sites. We're based in College Station, Texas. I am a father of three, and you can see two of the three right here in this picture. This is a really old picture. I've way pre-COVID beard, way skinnier, all that kind of stuff. I was riding bikes a lot. But I've been doing SEO for a really long time. I first started in this industry as a web designer, starting building websites, and quickly realized that SEO, getting your website right, is in the right place at the right time, is just super, super important. So, you know, um, I did that for my own business. And then all of a sudden in around 2005, I had other people, my clients, asking me, hey, can you do for us what you did for yourselves? So if you notice, I put before Google launched on this bullet point. And that's correct. Google launched in 1999. Back then in 1998, I was actually focused on Yahoo, believe it or not. And I was doing SEO to kind of learn it and all that kind of stuff, and on my own websites, right? And back then I was a freelance web designer. We started roofing sites in 2018, and basically we decided that we've gotten really good results with some roofers that we were working with, and we were like, well, why don't we just kind of double down on that? And so right now we work with roofers all over the country. And we help them get more leads and sales and appointments and stuff like that, So our mission, right? This is my big, hairy, audacious goal. My mission is to double the size of 1,000 roofing companies by 2025, right? It's huge. We're nowhere even close to working with that many, but hopefully we will eventually get to that point where we're really, really helping out with all these roofing companies. All right, so a random fact about me. I rode my bike. So I showed this picture here. This is actually from 2012. I rode my bike, that very bike right there, from College Station, Texas to Baltimore, Maryland, right, to raise money and awareness for pancreatic cancer. That's when my dad passed from in 2008. And 2012, I don't know. It my midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it. It's what I did. I rode my bike solo from here to there. So it was an amazing trip. If you want to look that up, go to irideforcancer.org. That was my website where I documented my entire journey. So, all right, enough about me. I've got a question for you. What is the hardest part about marketing your roofing business online? Right? What is it? Easy. Literally, there are thousands and thousands of tools to use. There's thousands of things to work in. So what we end up having in the roofing industry is that all these roofers, you end up with overwhelm, right? You're not quite sure what to work on anymore. Back, 10, 20 years ago, it was pretty easy, right? You just put an ad in the yellow pages and boom, you were done. Maybe put an ad on the billboards, right? Maybe ran an ad in radio or ran an ad in your local newspaper, whatever, right? Nowadays, none of those things work, right? Maybe the billboards, I don't know. That's here, neither here nor there. But when we talk about marketing nowadays, we talk about digital marketing, and there are literally thousands of things that you could be working in. So what exactly do you do? And a lot of roofers just throw up their hands or they try this, for a month or two, or try that for a month or two, and it didn't work. And so what happens is that, over time is that when someone like me approaches you and says, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z, you're like, well, I tried that. That didn't work for me. So anyways, this, the problem with that mentality is that, okay, you probably tried it for a month or two, but did you really do it right? Did you do it to where you were really completely effective at it? Okay. All right. So what do you focus on? So over the past 20 years, almost 20 years in marketing, I have developed what I call the 4R appointment machine. And since we work with roofers now, we call it the 4R roofing appointment machine. All right. So what this stands for, it's 4 pillars. Okay. And pretty much any type of marketing should go in these 4 types of pillars, these 4 pillars. Okay. So the first pillar is your base. It's your reputation. You cannot do anything at all in marketing without a solid reputation, right? The second pillar is reach. And this is where most people spend their time. Reach is simply getting in front of more people today than knew about you yesterday. It's that simple, right? And things that used to work in this pillar, like I mentioned earlier, were yellow page ads, were, radio ads, and a lot of those things are becoming ineffective. So this system right here, right? This marketing system is an evergreen system, so that when something stops working, we just simply pull it out of that pillar and put something in that does work. Okay. So things that are working right now, and we're going to go over a lot of this stuff, and hopefully, some of this, if you've been following me, is SEO works right now. Google Maps works right now. Google Ads works right now. See, those top 3, those are all Google, right? You have content marketing, and you have social media, right? So those are the types of things, that are inside of the reach pillar for us, for roofers right now. Okay. Resell. What does this mean? This is simply selling back to the people who have reached out to you, people who have come to your website, people who have done business with you, right? It is 80% easier, right? To do business with somebody that's already done business with you before, as long as you did a good job, right? So in this pillar, we've got all sorts of stuff in here to ensure that you're staying in front of your ideal client at all times. Now, the next pillar is referral. And as you know, most businesses are built on referrals. Most businesses start out this way and focus on that top rung. Well, it's a top rung for a reason, because it's one of those nice things to get, right? But you cannot rely on that in order to build your business, can you? Right? However, if you've got a system in place that can proactively ask for referrals, okay, and not rely on your sales staff to do that for you, now we're talking that you've got a system in place. So we also kind of reworked our 4R roofing appointment machine to put it into a priority wheel. Okay. In this wheel, basically we start with your website. Okay. Then because your website is the central place that everything should be flowing towards. Okay. The very central place that everything should be flowing towards, right, is your central hub. And if your messaging isn't right on your website, if your website is slow, if it doesn't even convert, okay, then you've got a problem. So that's the very first thing that you should work on. SEO, next step, right? That's a no-brainer. You just being simply in the right place at the right time, that people are searching for you. That is how important that is, because if you're not in the right place, I guarantee your competitors are. They've figured that out by now. Okay. The next is review management, because again, that's at that bottom tier. That's your reputation, right? So if you've got a bad reputation online, on Google My Business, on Yahoo, not Yahoo, Yelp, right? If you've got a bad reputation, you're not going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot here, right? So we want to make sure that that's solid as a rock. Next step is pay-per-click, right? Pay-per-click campaigns work. A lot of roofers that I talked to are like, oh, I tried that, spent a lot of money and it was ineffective, didn't work, right? Well, there's probably all sorts of reasons for that. One, you're probably sending the traffic to your main page, right? That's completely ineffective. If someone is looking for a roof replacement, someone who is looking for a roof replacement is way different than someone who's looking for a repair, okay? So we want to make sure that we line up what pages and messaging that we're sending people to, right? And that's one of the steps on pay-per-click. But to me, pay-per-click is just another spot on the Google front page, okay, that we're taking up. All right, the next one is Google and Facebook retargeting. This is important because if anybody gets to your website, you got to make sure that you bring them back to the website. All right. That if you've ever been to Amazon, right, and looked at a product and didn't buy it, and you noticed that ad was there, some ads that were following you around, right? And 5-6 years ago, that was kind of creepy. Nowadays, it's normal, right? It is normal to see ads when you go to a website, right? So why aren't you running those right now? You should be, because it's important to stay top of mind when people are going to make a buying decision, right? If they're looking for roofers to replace your roof, their roof, right? And they're trying to make that decision, well, it's important to have those ads follow you around. Oops. All right. We've also got other things, and this is what a lot of roofers that I talk to concentrate on right now, like places like Home Advisor and Angie's List and stuff like that. And that's where their primary source of leads are coming from. The problem with that is that you cannot rely on that, right, in order to grow your business. If you want to truly grow your business, you've got to get all these other things right. Okay. It's one thing that I highly suggest. Go ahead and get Home Advisor. Go ahead and get Google, right? Or sorry, not Google, Angie's List, set up. Go ahead and get local service ads set up. I mean, that's the new one that's been coming around this year is Google local service ads. All right. The next one is repeat and referral business, right? You got to make sure that you have system to ask for that referral. You have to use email marketing, right? Very few roofers that I talk to actually have any kind of outgoing newsletter, right, for their clients or for their customers, just to stay top of mind. Realtors do this, okay? E-commerce businesses do this. Tons and tons of businesses have figured this out. So it's important to stay in front of people. The last part here is social ads, okay? Social ads, to me, are kind of your top tier type things. These are replacing, in my mind, what radio and TV was even 5 years ago. Okay. It's an interruption, right? They're not looking for you at that specific moment when they see your ad on social media. However, that being said, it's good to have that going as part of your overall marketing package. Okay. Okay, I spent a lot of time on that. I'm going to try to push through this a little bit faster, just because I know that we all have things to do, and I'm trying to get this all done within about 30 to 40 minutes, so we're not wasting a whole lot of time on a workshop. However, that being said, right, as we see from this meme, one does not simply start a new year without goals, right? That is ludicrous. If you start the year out without any goals, how do you know when you get where you want to go, right? So what I suggest is that we set SMART goals, right? And this stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So what do these things mean? Okay, so when I build a goal, right, we want to make sure that it is specific towards something, not general, okay? That it's measurable. How can you measure that? Okay. Attainable. Can I actually even get that? And the other one is realistic. Is it even realistic to say, put that as a goal? And timely, you got to put a date on that goal. Okay. And by doing this, this essentially gives you wind in your sails. Now, let's talk about your big, hairy, audacious goal. Most roofers that I talk to don't understand what this is. This is something that I have known about for a really, really long time. And so a BHAG is your big, hairy, audacious goal. This is something that is 3 to 5 years out. And I refer to this sometimes as your moonshot. Okay. This is something so far out that sometimes you have to ask, how in the world are we going to get there? Right? How can we even accomplish that? So when I set goals, and what we're talking about here are our goals, right? SMART goals. And then you want to make sure that you have your BHAG. You want to make sure that you start with the end in mind, right? We start with your big, hairy, audacious goal and work backwards from that. Now, so this is an exercise that I typically do with my clients. This is called a marketing traction organizer. This is actually taken directly out of a system called Entrepreneur's Operating System, EOS, right? And that is a Gino Wickman invention, right? And our business is on EOS. I have tons and tons of entrepreneur friends that they're either on a version of EOS or close. So anyways, this is one of the tracking pieces, right? And the goal setting exercises that I go through with the clients. I modified it. They call it a VTO, a Vision Traction Organizer. But this one is a small condensed version of that, just specifically for marketing. Okay. So as you can see here, we've got a date. We want to put the date that we actually fill this out. And you're going to want to spend a little bit of time doing this. Okay. Put your date on there. Add your BHAG. Your BHAG, right, is your big, hairy, audacious goal. This is your moonshot. How far out? And typically, again, this is going to be 3 to 5 years out. Okay. Go ahead and put it in there. Then we start over here in this column, right, with our 3-year picture. All right. We're going to have our future date here. So we're just going to simply put 3 years out. What kind of revenue do we want to be at in 3 years? What kind of profit levels do we want to be? Measurables are simple. These are basically, how do you get there, right? So for instance, roofers, typically, and this is, mostly, is that you're going to replace a roof at $10,000, $7,500 to $10,000, depending on the size of the house, right? So anyways, your measurables would be based off of how much your revenue is divided by how much your average roof replacement price is. Okay. And that's your measurable. All right. Then you build your goals based off of that, right? How do you get to this point over here? How do you get up to that future revenue based off of that? Okay. Then we move right over here to our 1 year. Oops. Let me go back. Wheel on my mouse. I shouldn't use the mouse. All right. So the 1 year plan is the future date would be, for us, for this purpose right now, is December 31st, 2021. Okay. And revenue, whatever your revenue is going to be that you want it to be in 2021, profit level, measurables. Okay. And then build your goals based off of that right there. Typically, I work backwards from the goals that I set over here and work backwards here. Now, I will say not all of these goals that you're going to put down in here are going to be marketing related. They might be operations related. They might be finance related. They might be administration related, like adding a new HR system or something like that, right? So these don't always have to align with marketing. In fact, most of my clients, I encourage them, if you're going to get to that 3-year picture, how does that even look? How many people do you have? How many trucks do you have? How many, how many leads do we need to get? And that's, again, that measurables divided by your conversion rate from lead to sale. Okay. So work backwards from there. And then what is a rock? So that last column over there, a rock is simply your big things that you have to accomplish this quarter in order to move you towards that 1 year plan. I keep doing that. Sorry, guys. keep, and so it moves you towards that. Okay. So let's say that if I knew that I needed 3 new crews in order to get to that revenue level, right, at the end of the year, then what do I have to do this quarter, right? And what we're talking about right now is that very first quarter one, January, February, March of 2021. Okay. So what do you actually have to do in order to get there? Okay, so this is kind of an example here. I filled in a few things that were loosely based off of some of the roofers that we've worked with, and that we're currently working with. I didn't put their goals for the 3-year picture, 1-year plan, or rocks, right? But I wanted you to see kind of what we're looking at. So if on their 3-year picture, well, let's start with the BHAG actually. The BHAG for them was $20 million per year by December 31st, 2025. Okay, that's our big, hairy, audacious goal. Notice that it is measurable, right? It's specific, right? $20 million, and that's a good measurable. And it's attainable for them, they think, right? They're at about 2.5 million right now. Okay, so to go from in 5 years, 2.5 million to 20 million, right? That's a huge jump. You got to make sure that on the attainable part and realistic part, that your market can actually hold that, right? If your market is, 200,000 people or less, you might be able to do about half of that, I think, right? If you're in Dallas, Houston, we're in College Station, remember we're in Texas. If you're in Houston or Dallas or Austin or something like that, this might be attainable, right? Because those are much bigger markets. All right. Okay. So by December 31st, 2025, that's a 5-year moonshot. That's your big, hairy, audacious goal. Okay. 3 years for them is December 31st, 2023, $10 million, $2 million in profit. They assumed, and we all assumed in all of this, that they're going to have a 20% gross profit margin, right? So your profits might be different. You might be at 25%. You might be at 30%. Hopefully you're in between 10 and 20%, minimum, or 10 to 30% minimum there, somewhere in that range. But whatever you expect to be, go ahead and put that in there, because the profit level is super important to note and to have something set out there, because then you can measure it. And really what happens with this, with the MTO, all right, the marketing traction organizer, is that you want to go back to this every quarter. Did we hit our rocks? Okay. And every once a year, you're going to sit down and you're going to go through this, right? And make sure that you hit your 1-year plan, right? Some people do, some people don't, right? And so you just want to make sure that you adjust all along the way. You still set that time aside to make those goals, but you still make sure that you're actually doing those. Okay. Okay. And so for this client, right, they needed 125 roof replacements. Oh, actually, I think that's a typo there. I think they need a little bit more than 125. That was a copy from their rocks, right? So they need way more than that, I think, on their measurables. But if you look at the 1-year plan, that's pretty close. So 5 million, divided by $10,000 is 500 roof replacements. Okay. And in order to double that, obviously that would be 1,000 roof replacements in the 3rd year, right? So in 2023, they would need to get up to getting 1,000 roof replacements in that 1 year. Okay. So that was a little bit of a typo. All right. Number 2. All right. Let's talk about your messaging, right? If you're like most roofers, if you're like most roofing companies, your messaging is horrible. I'm sorry, just throwing that out there, right? And I say that with all due respect and love towards you. Basically, you talk too much about yourself, right? And as you can see here with Nicolas Cage, we keep talking about yourself. It's so interesting, right? Well, we've all been there. We've talked to that person that loves and loves and loves to talk about themselves, never asks questions, never, so a lot of your messaging is like that right now. And that just drives people away, right? When you go to most roofers' websites, front page of their website, it talks about how great that they are, how long that they've been in business. And those are important things, right? it talks about, we're the number one roofer in blah, blah, blah area, right? Well, that doesn't instill trust. Okay. What instills trust is that you actually focus on your customers' problems and not your own, right? So as I put here, most messaging in most roofing marketing focuses on them, how great that company is. And while that's probably true, you probably do have a great company, nobody cares. In this day and age, what people really do care about is what's in it for me? How can you fix my problems? Okay. So the other part of their problem with their marketing is that there's no clear call to action, right? Hey, call blah, blah, blah number. That's a good call to action, right? But that isn't everywhere. It isn't in the first fold of your website. It's a lot of roofing companies haven't even updated their website since 1998. you know, I look at a lot of roofers' websites and you can tell right away the websites that are so old that it's ridiculous. So the next step here is, right, get clear on who you're marketing to, right? And we're going to talk about that here in a second. And that starts with your avatar. Okay. So what is an avatar? Well, an avatar is simply a worksheet, right, that you identify exactly who your ideal customer is. It goes over their goals. It goes over their pain points. It goes over, where they hang out, right? That's that sources of information area. It goes over objections that they typically have, right, in the sales process. So if you don't know all of this, how in the world are you going to be able to talk to that person, right? So when you do, and think of it this way, when you do talk to somebody, right, and you're not talking all about yourself, right? When you go to a sales meeting, let's say, right, you ask them, okay, what's the problem? All right, what issues are you facing? All that kind of stuff. You get to know a little bit more about that person and about their problems, right? If your messaging on your website and on your marketing is not addressing any of this stuff, right? You're just generally going after anybody who needs a roof, right? Then you're not addressing that person, right? So in this case, I went ahead and went through an avatar that we did for another client, right? And we came up with that the demographics part of it, right, is a homeowner, 35 plus years old, typically a female, right, that calls, married with two to three kids, head of household, 65K annual household income. They're very family oriented, reliable, easily frustrated, and so forth, right? Um, and their pains and frustrations is that it's the obvious. The roof is leaking, right? And that their frustration is that they can't get a roofing company on the phone to return their phone call, right? So huge huge industry problem, I think, right? Is making sure that you're answering your phones. And one of the studies that we had, by the way, and this is a little side note, we noticed that only 50% of the phone calls are actually picked up. 50%. That's it. And when you message people, and this was a study that we did based off of calling roofers and so forth, and messaging roofers on their own websites, filling out their own forms, right, is that only half of them actually got back with you. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? Right? So make sure that you're doing all that stuff, right? Get back with people, answer your phones, all that kind of thing. All right. So this person also needs to get their roofing issue resolved. They're too busy to deal with it. And they're worried that the situation at the house could be unhealthy for their family, right? If the roof is leaking, there's major issues, right? So their fear is being ripped off, right? And if you're not addressing all of this stuff, right, how in the world, if your marketing is not addressing these things and talking directly to this person, right, how in the world is it going to be effective? Right. So this person is afraid of being ripped off, paying too much, having their home damaged by faulty workmanship, having to wait around for the roofer to arrive at their home, just all of these problems. And their goal is easy. Get the roof fixed. I just want that thing fixed. Right. And I want it done. She wants it done at a reasonable price and so forth. Right. Okay. So I put this in here because you need to understand that if your messaging is the base, right, of your marketing. If it's off, if it's, again, talking about yourself and not the problems and how you can fix those problems for those clients, those customers, then it's gonna be hugely off-putting. So this one says, if you can see Jane Smith or Jane Smith's eyes, then you can sell what Jane Smith buys, right? So I love that quote. That was given to me by one of my business coaches. So what's your message? Why should someone choose to do business with you versus the competition? Come up with these 3 things. Okay. Write them down. All right. What benefits do you offer that your target customer avatar will resonate with? All right. What do you have that really talks to that person? All right. So fill these three things out. I'm not going to wait here because we want to try to get through this. We're already 32 minutes into this webinar. So let's talk about messaging that actually does work. All right. We've talked about what doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. Right. And the first is that same day service or emergency services, right? Works 24-hour service, on-time service. You want to make sure that you're pushing those things. Number 2 is straightforward pricing, upfront pricing, satisfaction guaranteed, something like that. Okay. Is that you're going to go out of your way to make sure that they are happy with their new roof. All right. And that you have trustworthy technicians. Okay. This is super, super important in the roofing industry. You know, there is such a low barrier to entry that anyone with a hammer can go buy shingles and, you know, get up on a roof with a ladder. Right. So we want to make sure that we differentiate ourselves from all of those other people. Okay. And ensure that's super, super clear. All right. So let's talk about your plan for 2021. All right. What do you focus on right now? In this section, this is what we're going to talk about. What are the top 3 things? And most importantly, what are the quickest wins? All right. So I went through the roofing appointment machine. I'm going to skip through this a little bit. What out of this are you not working on right now? What is not working out of all of these? And let's start with the pillars. All right. So if your reputation, let's say that, you know, you've only got 20 reviews or less, right? I see a lot of those Google My Businesses, and a lot of them have, you know, less than 20 reviews, and some of them are pretty not so good, right? So if you don't have a solid reputation on Google My Business specifically, okay, nowadays, then you're going to have a really hard time selling. Because when people go search for you, when people go research you, right, the very first place they're going to go to is Google, the absolute first place. And if it's only showing a few reviews, you know, I mean, I went through an exercise personally at the beginning of this year and went through 1,000 Google My Business accounts of roofers. And there were probably 100 of them that had over 100 reviews. Okay. What I would suggest for you, if you want to dominate your market, focus on that. Focus on your reviews and having a review system in place that proactively asks for a review every time a job is completed. Okay. Oops. Let me go back here. Your website, that's a no-brainer, right? Your website needs to be a primary focus. It needs to load fast. It needs to have the right messaging, and it needs to convert. Okay. Those 3 things. Reach, make sure that you've got, you know, at least 1 or 2 of these things set up: SEO, Google Maps, Google Ads, content, social media. Okay. Make sure that, you know, at least in quarter 1 of 2021, or as you're building your plan for 2021, that you're going to get your marketing right in each of these sections. Okay. Resell. So resell for us is your remarketing, right? It is your lead nurturing that's happening when someone fills out a form on your website. And this is really a sales, you know, from marketing to a sales bridge, is that you want to make sure that you're nurturing those leads. Okay. You're talking to them immediately. You're talking to their problems, and you're getting them into an appointment, right? Right away. Social media, The same kind of thing. We want to talk about problems and not talk about yourself. It really is that simple, right? Once you start talking about your customers' problems, you're going to attract way more people. Okay. Um, Referral, that's easy. You want to make sure that you're asking for referrals. You can have your sales staff do this, or you can automate it through software. We have a system that we put everybody into that essentially asks for that referral, and incentivizes those people to give a referral. Okay. Something like a gift card or to their favorite restaurant or something like that. Okay. So super, super important. And again, here, if you notice, I've got reputation in here as well, because referrals, you want to make sure that you've got a system to get that reputation going, right? Get your reviews going. I'm going to skip through this part, and we're going to talk about those 6 things to focus on right now. All right. 2020 has dramatically changed what we're all focusing on right now in marketing. And that's simply because buyer behavior has changed in 2020, right? A lot more people are at home. A lot more people are doing research on their computer, their laptop, or right here with their phone. Okay. They are looking online a lot more, right? Most of our websites have done this with a hockey stick simply because people are online more. All right. There's no one to go have coffee with and ask them, hey, who did you use as a roofer this year or that last year when you got your stuff? So people are looking online. All right. So the very number one thing that you should work on this year is your website. All right. Make sure that one, it has the messaging that sells, right? That doesn't talk about yourself, that talks about their problems, that talks about how you can help solve their problem. Number 2, that it converts. All right. That make sure that you've got call to action buttons, that you've got easy ways for people to get in contact with you. I'm going to do a webinar on this later, starting out in 2021, talking specifically about all the stuff that your website really needs. And it's not super complicated, but it's got to work on a phone. It has to work on a phone nowadays. If your website does not work on a phone, please give me a call right now, because this day and age, that's where people are. They're on their phones. All right. And the third thing is that it's got to load fast, because people are on their phones. Even Google themselves has said your website has to load fast. If it doesn't load fast, if it doesn't load within 3 seconds, call me. Right. I came across one the other day. It loaded in 51 seconds, right? We've got a tool that measures that, right? And 51 seconds, that is a long time nowadays for people to wait around for your website to work. Guess what's going to happen after about 5 seconds? Boom, they're out. So make sure it does those 3 things. SEO, right? Make sure that you're approaching your digital marketing with a long-term strategy goal in place of dominating your market on Google, right? Notice I didn't talk about Yahoo, right? I didn't talk about Bing. No one goes there, right? Nobody goes there. Google is the number 1 search engine in the world. You know what the number 2 search engine in the world is? Yahoo. Yahoo is the number 2, believe it or not. Or, I just completely messed that up. Not Yahoo. Sorry, my bad. YouTube. Sorry, YouTube is the number 2. That was horrible. Anyways, I'm a geek, y'all. Sometimes my brain goes faster than my mouth does. So basically, you want to have that long-term strategy in place. All right. Google My Business, more important than ever. Absolutely, because it's actually taken up a huge spot on the search engine result page, on every search engine result page, just about, and especially when they're looking for roofing surfaces. Okay. You want to make sure that you're in that 3-pack. All right. And then number 4 is reputation. All right. We talked about this already, but your reputation needs to be solid as a rock. Okay. And you need to have a system in place that will proactively get reviews and post them onto Google My Business. We have a system like that we put every single client into because it's that important. Pay-per-click is your short-term strategy, right? And when I say pay-per-click, I specifically mean Google ads. Okay. You got to make sure that and if you look at any of the search engine result pages, you'll notice that in the top 4 sections, the top 4 of every search engine result page are ads, right? they're taking up more and more space. In fact, they take up the first fold, right? Quote unquote. And if you ever heard that term, the first fold, that just simply goes back to newspaper, right? In the fact that the newspaper would put the very biggest headlines on the very first fold of the page. So when it folded up, right, and it was placed in the stand, that biggest headline was right there, in the first fold. So that translated over a long, long time ago into the digital marketing world, and we want to make sure that we're in the first fold, right, on Google search engine results. So when someone searches, and when I say search engine results, that means that simply when someone types in roofing services or roof replacement, right, in whatever your area is, you want to show up there in the very top. And in fact, I like to, and I usually tell my clients, let's take up as many spots as we can on that page. Okay. Right now, the other part to think about is Google local service ads. Okay. And local service ads are super, super important right now, because those are the top 4 little ads up at the top now. And you probably have heard about them, and most likely your area has those in there now. Okay. So what those are, and it says Google guaranteed, right? So those are actually a pay per action, right? So when someone calls you, right, you're going to pay like you do with Home Advisor. Okay. So Google has gotten into that game, but it's important to be up on the very top there. It's important to be in the ads. It's important to be in Google My Business, the 3-pack. It's important to be in organic. So the more spots that you can take up, the more you're going to dominate your market. Okay. And the last is sales, right? You got to make sure that anything that's coming in your way, any kind of phone call that you get, any kind of text message that you get, any kind of Facebook message that you get, any kind of form fill that you get, any kind of email that you get, it's getting followed up as soon as possible. So we put all of our clients into a sales lead nurturing program, right, system that essentially will get back with them right away. And we do this through text messages, right? Because most people will pick up their text message on their phone. It's a 90% open rate, right? 80 to 90% open rate on your phone versus 10%, 5 to 10% on email. Okay. So our systems follow up via SMS and look very similar to a message, right, that someone would actually send, right? And so it's very conversational. Hey, thanks so much for reaching out to us. When is a good time for us to call you? Okay. It's that easy. All right. So before I move on, I just want it to be super clear that these are the top 6 things that you should work on, right? Not saying that you have to do all 6 of these things, but these are our top 6 things that we work on with our clients. I'm talking too much. All right. So what are the top 3 things? What are the top 3 things you need to work on right now? All right. And I've got little slots in here for those, but I want you to think about this right now. Out of everything that I mentioned that we talked about, what is the quickest and easiest ones that you can fix right now? Is it your website? Is it running pay-per-click ads? Is it fixing your Google My Business? Is it getting a reputation machine, right? A reputation system in place, right? Figure out what your quickest wins are. Figure out what will drive the most business, all right? Your website and your reputation, those 2 things right there are probably the top 2 in my book. You get your website, your reputation, and pay-per-click ads going, you're going to start getting leads and you're going to start converting those leads. Okay. So my business coach, this is exactly where I got this from, right? Is what's your top 3 things to do this week, Chris? What's your top 3 things that you need to accomplish this quarter? What's your top 3 things that you need to accomplish this year? Right. So these are your top items that you want to make sure. Now on the top 3 things that we get done with this week, right? He says, okay, you're not leaving the office until you get those 3 things done on Friday, right? You have to get all 3 of those things. If you tell me you're going to get 3 things done, get those 3 things done. So anyways, that's where this kind of comes from, but it's very, very effective, right? And we want to make sure that we're doing the things that are going to really drive traffic, the things that are going to move the needle in your business. Okay. And that's how we build that plan for 2021. Whew. All right. I've talked a lot. Let's step back and let's get some questions answered here. Let me make sure. Let me go and look at, where is it at? Nope. Well, here we go. I think it's because I minimized this. Here we go. All right, so let's go look at some chats. And let's see what questions that we have. All right. Josh asks, do you do all this stuff? Well, yes, Josh, we do all this stuff. We have a system, the 4R marketing system is what we put everybody into. And we have packages that do SEO, that do website, and Google My Business, pay-per-click ads. We do it all, man. So absolutely we do that. Do we do websites? Absolutely. Yeah. So all of our packages include websites. And we roll that into our pricing instead of charging a huge fee like $5,000 for a website. And that's what we used to do. We used to charge $5,000 for a website and so forth. Well, what we have done is that we have actually tested out and created our own framework for websites, right? And tested out the messaging, right? Remember, I kept talking about that messaging. We've tested out all that stuff, and we have a high converting website, and that's built in with all of our packages. So when you come on board with us, basically we're gonna put you into that website that already has been tested, right? And we know is going to convert, and we put it on super fast hosting, right? That is going to load in under 3 seconds, on that front page. It's going to be like lightning, and that is exactly what people want, right? But it's also what Google wants. So, I'm a big fan in giving Google exactly what it wants. And so speed, they've come out in the past year and said that speed is a major indicator for their algorithm. And they built tools themselves to help measure speed. They put that into Google Search Console. They put it into all sorts of things. And so, it's a very, very important thing. If your website is slow, if it's loading in 30 seconds, 10 seconds, right? If you go from a 10-second to 1 second, or sorry, 2 second, fully loaded, right, in 2 seconds versus 10 seconds, your conversion rates are going to go out the roof just simply from that alone. I mean, that is amazing when you see that kind of stuff. All right. Keith asked, how do you get ranked? Well, that's a loaded question there, man. So, again, remember, it's all about the big picture, right? The big picture to me, when I talk to roofers, is that we want to take up as many spots on the front page of Google as we possibly can, right? Who goes to the second page? Nobody. So if you exist on the second page, you don't exist at all, right? But I want to make sure that you're in for pretty much any kind of search term that people do, shingle replacement, roof replacement, shingle repair, roof repair, roofing company, roofing services, any of those. You want to make sure that that you're taking up as many spots as you possibly can on that front page. Now, organic SEO, which is what I've been doing for almost 20 years. We built a tool that helps us build out landing pages and helps us maximize the amount of keywords that we can, kind of go after. So the majority of our clients are, we start at 400 keywords where most SEO companies will start at like 10 or 20 keywords or 20 or 40 keywords or something like that. We used to be like that until we built our tool. Our tool helps build out landing pages programmatically that Google loves, right? And so most of our clients are ranked number 1 through number 5, right, in the organic section, for upwards of 2,000 keywords, depending on how long that you're with us, because we add new keywords, we add new areas, we add new service areas and stuff like that every single quarter, right? So we're constantly adding to your website. And the reason for that is that we don't want to blow Google up, meaning that if we go into a website, and we've tested this before, is that if you go into a website and throw 4,000 landing pages, into that website, Google doesn't really like it. They put you in what's called a sandbox, right? And so we start small and grow it big over time. And we have found that to be very, very effective for search engine optimization, for getting you ranked on Google. All right. Hopefully that answered your question there, Keith. I don't see any other questions, so we're going to move on. We're coming up to almost an hour. So upcoming webinars, right? This is such a popular webinar that we're going to do this one again. It's going to be slightly different, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll be better at it. We're going to do the 2021 Internet Marketing Blueprint again on January 15th. February 12th, we're going to do the 2021 guide for SEO for roofers. So we're going to talk about all of those keywords that you should be ranking for and how to get there. We're even going to give you a keyword list if you want that, right? That you can hand over to your webmaster or whatever. Remember, my BHAG is to help 1,000 roofing companies double, right, by December 31st, 2025. So yes, a lot of this stuff is free and is going to be free. And I'm even thinking about, just so you know, my plans for 2021, part of one of my plans is to build out a training section to show you exactly how to do all this stuff, right? Without even having to hire someone like me, right? It's not rocket science. It just takes time. Okay. March 12th is going to be the 2021 guide for Google My Business for roofers. Okay. So this one's going to be pretty good because Google My Business is driving a ton of phone calls right now. And if you're not in the 3-pack, in your area, when in your specific area, then you need to be. Okay. And so we're going to talk about how to do that. All right. So what now, right? Here's the pitch. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, if you're tired of wasting time and money, on ineffective marketing strategies, things that just doesn't work, if you need a system that helps you make more sales, and if you'd like to free yourself from chasing leads from Home Advisor, from Angie's List, whatever, please book a session with me at roofingsites.com/schedule. Super simple. Or just go to roofingsites.com and click on the schedule button. Okay. Thanks so much for hanging in here with me. And hopefully this gave you a lot of value. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and put comments in the bottom, and ask questions. I'm constantly looking at these to make sure that if anybody, does ask a question, that we're going to answer them. Feel free to reach out to me. My email is chris.hunter@roofingsites.com. More than happy to help you build your plan. All right. If you don't have a plan yet, if this wasn't enough to help you build a plan, if you'd rather have someone do that for you, let's book a strategy session with me and we'll build that plan for you for 2021. Appreciate it, y'all. Have a great day and we'll see you at the beginning of the new year. Talk to you later. Bye.